What's up, you beautiful people? So today I kind of just wanted to talk about my mobile editing workflow. Lately, I had the privilege, the luck to be able to have my hands on the Capture One beta, and I've been messing with that a lot lately. And I kind of just wanted to do a video comparing it to Lightroom Mobile, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a visual before you decide to like make the purchase for like a subscription for Capture One, or just wondering like how it is in comparison to Lightroom Mobile, and kind of just break down my workflow and just like purpose of like the two apps, which one I like better, and just show you guys a few features that I think are pretty cool. So real quickly, before I kind of like jump to the app here, I think this is a pretty good app. I will tell you right now, it's not as intuitive and as like detailed and have a lot of the functionality that you're gonna find in the Lightroom mobile app. This app was not built to be a replacement for the main Capture One app. They kind of say that in their promotion and in the emails. It's supposed to kind of just be a companion app to kind of mobily edit your photos and then continue to take them and finish editing them on the computer, or just do like your basic amount of adjustments that you want to do on your photos, stuff that you can probably just do with a little bit of effort and, you know, export and share them, do whatever you will with them then. But for the most part, you're not going to get everything that you see out of Lightroom with this app. So I don't feel like you can really compare these two apps as heavily. It's really just, I want something simple. I don't need all the features that I get in Lightroom. I like the way like my workflow and pictures look from editing in an app like Capture One, and it's just simple enough for me. If you want all that extra heavy stuff, you can simply use Lightroom, you know, the main app, Lightroom Classic or Lightroom Mobile. I feel like for me personally, mobile editing, whether that's in Capture One or Lightroom, kind of works best when I just have presets set up, so I don't have to do like a lot of clicking and scrubbing and scrolling around to make a picture look how I want. The purpose of it being mobile is that I want to be quicker with it. I don't want to, you know, sit around in front of a desk. I just want to quickly edit something, whether that's coming straight from my camera or, you know, dropping it from a card, making like some slight adjustments and being able to just move on. So one thing that I feel like is kind of important is that there is cloud features, so that, again, if you want to be able to take these photos that you're working on your iPad or your desktop and, you know, take them to one or the other, you can do that. I haven't used that feature throughout the beta period at all, because it just like didn't really interest me. I just wanted to throw the photos straight on my iPad and work from there, and be able to just have the photos. This app also is only on iPad. It's not an Android app. So if you're an Android or whatever, like Android tablet, I don't really know what those are called, but that's not available on here, which with Lightroom, you have that benefit of being able to use Android devices or iPhone and be able to edit your photos mobily. So take that as you will. So to start off in Capture One here, I already have some photos imported, but I will kind of show you real quick how the photo import process looks like. So on the left hand side, you kind of have like all images, which is like everything you've imported, your latest import, trash, and then down below you have like your import option. So you can either come to photos, click on that, and it will pull up a lot of your recent photos in just your photo folder. Take that as you will, because that thing really has no type of good organization to it unless you put in a lot of effort to organize it. But then you also have files, which is what I like to use to kind of organize my photos across my iPad, so that it's just a little less cluttered in the photo app. But I already have the photos imported here. It's just 3 or 2 images that I'm going to kind of go over here with you guys, so you can kind of see comparison of the photos. But below that, you can also obviously have albums, which is really nice. So I'm going to go to my video folder here, and we're going to start with this image. I like this image because it's obviously a digital image and needs a lot of adjustment. But to give you just an overview of your settings, one thing I do like about this Capture One app over Lightroom is that it feels more mobile in the terms of just like you don't even really need a pencil if you don't want to. I wish there were some haptic features on the iPad so that you can feel some of the adjustments. But on the left hand side here, right next to your thumb, you have your star rating, so you can click on that, and then the right side you can rate your stars 0 to 5. You can color tag it, which is really nice, but you don't have like a lot of other tagging options like you do in Lightroom. Again, just take this information as you will. Right below that, you have your styles and presets. There's a lot of preset options in here, which I think are really nice, but I don't really use them. I just kind of migrated my presets over from Capture One, the desktop version. And one thing to note is that you cannot export your presets from Capture One and import them into Capture One Mobile. Hopefully they fix that in the future, but for now I just have a few presets here that I've been messing with and kind of like to use, and I'll go back to that in just a second. Right below that, you have your scaling option. So you have rotation and keystone. And if you click that, again, all of your functionality options pop up on the right-hand side. So you can click that, rotate and scale your photos how you need, adjust what type of cropping you want, whether that's 4x5, 5x7, 16:9. And then you also just have your wheel here to operate, your adjustments. And I'm going to talk about that wheel also in a second here once I kind of go over some of these next settings. So down below is where you kind of just have all your different exposure and color settings. So obviously you have your black and white handle. You can enable black and white. And then you have your options for like the red, yellow channels and all that, which is nice. Again, you just select what you want to adjust. So like, let's say I want to adjust the red channels. And then on the right side, you can scroll up and down with your thumb to make those adjustments. And obviously, yeah, so you have your white balance. And if there's ever like a little word with a square around it, you can click that to get more options for those tools. Again, exposure, you have contrast, brightness, saturation, and then your HDR settings to control your whites, your blacks, highlights, shadows, all that. Clarity, I don't really mess with this too much, but it is all there. And again, if you just click the natural button under here, you just have more options for clarity, which is really nice. Your dehaze, color editor, and vignetting. Color editor is nice. Obviously, right here you just see it as basic, but if you click on color on the right-hand side, you got all your different color options for your red, orange, yellow channels, etc. You can click on those and come down here to the hue, saturation, and lightness settings and make those adjustments as you see fit. I'm just going to reset that for now. Vignetting, we talked about that one. And then last but not least, you have your sharpening and grain effects, all that stuff under here. So as you can see, it's very basic. There's a lot missing in terms of like its comparison to Lightroom, where you have just like a spot selection tool to remove stuff like that. You can see there's no curve control, which is something I really want in here because I do use curves for like contrast or maybe even like grading and stuff. So not having that is a kind of big gut punch. It's just like we need that. I don't know if it's going to be out in the full version, but hopefully it is. So for now, well, one thing before I get into my preset here, and I'll show you guys what that's about, is the scroll wheel. This is one problem that just bugs me the most. It's just a functionality thing. So you see right here I have my shadow selected, and on the right-hand side, I can use this wheel to scroll. But how I'm scrolling is, let's say I want to bring the value up, I have to scroll down. So it's kind of like an inverted preset setting, and I don't like that. That's really just weird for my brain to kind of process. And you scroll up to bring the value down. It's so weird. And there's no way to like change that in the settings. It's just what they do in the app. And they said based off of like early beta testers and users that majority of people like that inverted style. I'm just like, I'm not flying a plane, I'm editing photos. But the fix to that in the app, and I hope they don't notice this, they probably will. They probably already have and maybe fixed it. But if you hold shadow value on the left side, where you actually select shadow, highlight, white over here, and you scroll up, your values go up. You scroll down, your values go down. So on the left-hand side, when you control it, it's not inverted, but on the right-hand side, it is. And that just bothers me. It's so weird to me. All right, so let's get into editing an actual photo. I'm going to use one of my little presets right here. It's Capture One Replica preset. And that kind of just has like a lot of the color adjustments that I like with most of my photos. And we can just go down into here and adjust some of our exposure settings. So I'm going to come down to HDR. I'm going to bring our shadows up because the main subject is kind of just hidden away there. I'm going to adjust our black levels a bit. And this app still is like a tiny bit buggy. It doesn't bother me like that much, but just know like sometimes you'll have issues. Like I'll try and do a before and after preview sometimes and it won't change. But yeah, just like Lightroom Mobile, if you press and hold, you get your before and after your preview. But like I said, using presets I feel like is nice because you can kind of just quickly edit your photos. Under, not clarity, no, the next one down, my grain settings. This is why I like Capture One. I just appreciate the way grain looks more, and you have a lot more options, and thankfully all those options are here in the Capture One mobile app. So under film grain, if you hit the box under it, you have your different options. I'll go through them for you nerds out there. So we have fine grain, silver rich, and I'm not sure how great this is translating on YouTube with compression, so forgive me if this is useless. Soft grain, cubic grain, tabular, kind of going a little fast, and then harsh. I kind of like to rest on tabular. It's a good kind of just like middle ground grain, in my opinion. One other thing I'm noticing with the differences between Capture One and Lightroom is that I can't like hold any of like these effects and just like turn that effect off. I really wish I can do that, and kind of bummed that I can't do that. But under my color editor, under almost each of the colors, not every single one of them, I just have hue and saturation adjustments that I do to kind of each section here. I'll quickly scroll through these. Feel free to steal this if you want. I don't care. We don't gatekeep here because we don't take the same photos, so it doesn't really matter. But I usually just make adjustments in the blue channel. Sometimes I'll do like the green channel, but mainly blue, yellow, orange, and red. Really to just like put the skin tones in an area that I personally like that just don't look as digital, and adjust like saturation and lightness just to kind of soften up the digital look of the photos the most. But yeah, that is kind of just like what my workflow looks like in Capture One. I'm going to do another photo here. I'll do this one here. I'm going to take we'll take our black and white preset here for this one. It's pretty basic. There's not much going on to it. I'm just converting the picture to black and white, and then I'll just come through and adjust highlight and shadow detail as I see fit. I'm going to use the scroll wheel on this one. Again, it's a little weird. But you scroll down to bring the value up. Bring the whites and the highlights down a tiny bit. Yeah, and that's about it. The grain settings I already have kind of on. I like to leave them in a kind of general order. I'll go to like 30 something to like 40 something maybe. I don't want to overdo it too much, but enough to where you just almost can't tell, like, is that really film or digital? If you can't answer, like, does it matter? But yeah, that's that workflow. So now I'm going to hop over to Lightroom, and I have the same presets kind of plugged into here. So here you'll see like a few just color differences. I don't know how well it will translate over to YouTube with compression and everything. I do feel like there is like a slight difference in the color results, and this is just something with Capture One. Not being able to have like the profiles, the camera profile that I do like on the desktop version in the mobile version of Capture One is a little bit of a bummer. And just not having like those same profiles translate between Lightroom and Capture One does kind of affect the outlook of the preset. But for the most part, I have all my hue saturation settings the same. So I'm going to come here and apply my preset under user presets, Capture One, EGTV. All right, and then once again, we just got to go and make some contrast adjustments. Gonna bring up our shadows, or no, our exposure. Yeah, exposure is a little dark there. Let's bring those shadows back down. Contrast down. All right. But I mean, that's the majority of like what I do. I do kind of have the grain from Lightroom in here, but I don't like the way Lightroom's grain look. It just has one look to it and doesn't look like the full picture's loading here. But it just has one look to it, and I'm just not the biggest fan of it. It's kind of hard to see on export sometimes, especially when you share it across like an app or something. Can't really tell until you like print a photo, and that's a lot of work to do it. But to show you just like a before and after here, it's before and after, and then I will show you what it looks like in Capture One for comparison. And I just feel like we'll do that switch one more time. I feel like I can't tell if I don't know if you guys can tell on YouTube, but I just like the way the Capture One looks a lot better. I like the subtlety of the grain, the fineness of it, opposed to just like the harshness of it in Lightroom. And I have it set at the same value, but yeah, I'm liking the look a little more. I feel like it can use like a tiny bit of an exposure boost here, but the photo just doesn't hit the same. It's a personal preference, to be completely honest with you. Use what works best for you. And we'll go and do the same next photo that has slight bit more variety of color. I'll do one more photo for you guys as well. These are presets. Rock. Oh, did I do black and white on this? I did black and white on this one. I guess black and white doesn't matter. We'll do this last photo here, and we'll apply that same preset, user presets. Done. And we'll just make some slight exposure adjustment here, because kind of just like the way, I almost like the way the photo looks unedited. But I do kind of like my preset that I have made here. I don't like the way it looks in Lightroom as much. As you see, this grain is just intense on this photo, and the setting for it isn't even like that intense to me. It's only at 36, and that's the same value that it is at Lightroom. I know values can probably translate a little differently in here, but for purposes, demonstrational purposes, I wanted to have it look the same as close as possible. But yeah, here is Capture One. I mean the Lightroom version, and then I'm going to switch over to Capture One. We're going to rotate this photo first. All right, and then we're going to apply preset, and I don't know if you can tell. I can already like tell the difference. White balance should be the same. Let's check it on here. White balance is at 5600, 2.5 tint. And on here, let's see, color, white balance, 5600, negative 2.5 on the tint. Yeah, like if you can't, this difference should translate the most. And this should kind of just be like a decent representation from my editing. Like you may not like the way I edit photos at all, or I just have these presets kind of set up, but all the settings are the same. The only thing that is different is that in Lightroom, I have the Leica M10R profile on. I do not have that benefit on the mobile version of Capture One to have that, but I like the more just neutrality I can get out of the skin tones here, opposed to Lightroom where it just looks more red. You can ignore kind of like the grain settings and whatnot, but yeah, just having like these variety of skin tones throughout the picture, these blues in the background. I personally am just enjoying the look that I see out of Capture One better. Here's the before, here's the after. And again, edit things like to your taste. I do feel like you can get close to this result in Lightroom Mobile, but just for me and the way I like to work with my digital photos, I enjoy the result and mainly the grain that I get out of Capture One a lot more. So I hope that was somewhat of a decent example of what you can get out of Capture One Mobile and its comparison to the Lightroom mobile app. Again, it all comes down to your personal preference. Lightroom does have just a plethora of more features, such as masking and spot removal, curves, and just other functionality things. Having a lot more like built-in presets and all that you can use, being able to migrate presets from the desktop version into the mobile version. A lot of benefits there. I feel like that can be useful for a lot of people, and I hope that Capture One really updates the app to be able to get to that place. So, it may be worth waiting a few months or like half a year to see if all those features come integrated into the app. I personally enjoy the desktop experience of Capture One and the results with things just as simple as color and grain that I get out of that app. So I'm glad to be able to have that mobily now. But I do think the app needs more work and time before it's fully functional and will be able to somewhat compete with Lightroom. The subscription price for Capture One Mobile is $5 a month, and again, that's only on the iPad. It's not on any Android devices or on your cell phone. So if you're looking forward to that, unfortunately, that won't be the experience, at least at the start. But if you want to give it a try, I feel like it is worth it, at least for 1 month. Just give it a shot. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button and check out my latest video. Put a video out on New York. I kind of like busted my butt on. So yeah, check that out. Pretty sure you'll enjoy it. It's a great experience. You got to hype up your own work when you're proud of it. So catch you guys in the next one. Peace.